And we're back to more Case 4 of DGS. We are still talking to Iris right now, and what we are highlighting at this moment is about her deductions a moment ago. How did she work that out? By the way, about that thing a moment ago.
What do you mean, Naruto-kun?
What thing a moment ago? How did you know that I was an attorney who just arrived in London? And, oh yes, that we have a difficult trial ahead of us tomorrow.
Oh, what? Is that all?
If you wouldn't mind, we'd really like to hear your explanation.
Sure, I don't mind. I don't know if you really call a simple thing like this an explanation, though. Alright then, shall we begin? On Iris Watson's Logic and Reasoning Experimental Theater.
This was in the trailers, but it was actually Iris doing the deductions.
We'll start here. I knew you were an attorney right away, Naruto-kun. You see, we met in the defendant's lobby of the court yesterday.
But what about the part about how we just arrived in London?
Those papers poking out of your chest pocket are passenger tickets for a ship, aren't they? So basically, it made me think that you must have just arrived in this country. And the fact that you're willing to face that prosecutor in court proves that you don't know about London's court affairs.
You must mean the Grim Reaper.
Also, there's the remains of a red stamp on the back of Susato-chan's hand. You got that when you visited the detention center to meet with the accused, didn't you? Did you know that there are strict controls on who's allowed to enter and leave that place as a visitor?
I had no idea.
By the way, you receive a red stamp when you come to visit a foreign detainee. In other words, Naruto-kun and Susato-chan went to visit a foreign detainee even though you just finished a trial yesterday. But your expressions aren't all that sad, which means you're not the detainee's family or acquaintances, right? That must mean that he's a new client that you've just taken on.
I see.
Then, what about the bit about our trial beginning tomorrow? Holmesy's got home yesterday and solved another case right away. He smiled and told me we caught a whaling Japanese man.
Japanese man? He must have met
Soseki-sama. That thing on your hand, it's a Japanese sword, right? And the type of clothing Susato-chan is wearing, I think it's called a kimono? In other words, you two came from Japan, in which case surely you're going to defend that Japanese man. That's what I thought. Therefore, I was able to draw one conclusion. You two came here to ask Holmesy about the case.
That whole scene makes me really frustrated.
There's a memo on the mantelpiece saying that the Japanese man's trial is tomorrow. Holmesy has a habit of sticking all his memos to the walls with a knife. And, well, that's pretty much it. That concludes Iris Watson's deduction.
Oh my god. I'd be speechless too.
Oh, were my deductions correct?
Spot on.
Amazing. So this is Iris-sama's famous deduction.
The fact that it has the same you-know-what as Holmesan's makes it even more stunning.
Oh, well, I was simply imitating Holmesy just now.
But this makes things so much quicker for us. Perhaps you could tell us about it? That Japanese man's case? The Japanese man's case. Yesterday, Holmesan apprehended a Japanese man, right?
Yep. Holmesy just got back to London from abroad, but There were detectives waiting for him at London Station, and they took him to the scene of the crime right away.
Huh? He sure is popular, this famous detective. Well, that's why he's a famous detective.
It was a case involving a woman who'd been stabbed on a deserted street. And a suspicious, hunched-over little middle-aged man was seen fleeing the scene.
A suspicious, hunched-over little middle-aged man. That could only be Soseki-san. Soseki-san said there was no one else at the scene, but sounds like there was an eyewitness after all.
Holmesy used his usual deduction and was able to point out where the man lived. It was a boarding house near the scene of the crime, so he came busting in with the police right away. And there was a hunched-over, suspicious middle-aged Japanese man in there, trembling away.
Ugh. So Holmes-san's deductions are right sometimes.
Of course they are. He is a famous detective after all.
But all of that happened 2 days ago. Tomorrow's way too soon to be having the trial, wouldn't you say?
You're right. They certainly haven't had time to investigate the case. According to Holmesy, there's a lot of crime in the city.
Eh?
Scotland Yard is doing its best, but there's so much that they can't keep up.
Is that so? This is the first I've heard of it.
So they can't devote a whole lot of time to investigating and trying a single case. They simply don't have the money or the manpower for that. And besides, the suspicious people they catch usually are criminals anyway. But
I suppose reality really is a harsh thing, even for the best legal system in the world. Yeah, certainly is. But in that case, that makes me even more worried about Soseki-san. Thank you for speaking with us, Iris-chan. I've learned a lot thanks to you.
Oh, you're welcome. I had fun too.
She's so cute. By the way, Iris-chan, where's Holmes-san? As you noticed, we came here to ask him about the case.
Oh, Holmesy. I'm sure he's still investigating this case.
Soseki-san's case?
He said he was going to check out Soseki-san. Was it? His flat. If you head straight there, you'll probably be able to catch him there. Iris-sama, do you know where that flat is? The police are probably all investigating the crime scene. Did you happen to see a detective by the name of Greggy-san?
Yeah, you're right. Greggy-san was there.
I thought so. In that case, would you give this to Greggy-san for me? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you.
What is this?
It's a 5-shingle coin and a message card.
Iris's card. A card for Detective Gregson from Iris. There's a message to him on the back.
Answer any questions this dark person asks you. You don't mind, do you? So if we give him this, Detective Gregson will decide that he doesn't mind?
I see. Thanks a lot, Iris-chan.
Now then, I'm going to get to writing on that manuscript, The Speckle Band. Come see me again, okay? I'll make more of my special tea blend for you.
Thank you very much, Iris-sama.
Alright, let's head back to the crime scene.
Having been told that it would be possible to get Scotland Yard to move for this card and this one coin, we headed for the crime scene once more, gripping what felt like the heaviest coin in the world. There's a to be continue here, on which we are going to continue. That was only, like, not even 10 minutes of recording? Alright. No, we're not saving, just in case something happens. It's the same day at 2:38 p.m. on Briar Road. It looks like the detectives are still working on their investigation.
In that case, let's look for Detective Gregson right away.
Yes, after all, we have a more significant present for him this time than than that Oh my god, why can't I read today? Yes, after all, we have a more significant present for him this time than that fried stuff he's always eating. It's fish and chips, dude! Let's present the card. Detective Gregson, can I have a moment? I'm terribly sorry, but I'm incredibly busy at the moment. Do you think I've got time to spend with a couple of bored Japanese, then?
For you. Iris Watson-sama told us to give this to you.
What? From that little lady to a man like me? The little lady? Here me, fork it over, now, this instant! To me, come now! What? He snatched it away. What's the story with that coin? Why, as you can see, it's a crown coin, but not just any crown coin. This is what you call a performer's fee.
Performer? Oh, you don't mean... Do you mean...
Precisely. It goes without saying, but it's for the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. When the little lady puts me in her stories, she pays me a gratuity fee.
Yes, of course. I know all about it. I'm always reading about your efforts.
Well, basically, she's just throwing my name around as she pleases and getting me subjected to verbal abuse. That's... how should I say this? You have my deepest sympathies. More importantly, was there something you wanted to know? Eh? Is there any questions this dark person asked you? You don't mind, do you? Of course I don't mind. Now go ahead and ask. Go ahead.
In any case, we'll take you up on your kind offer. There's just one thing. We'd like to know where Natsumi Soseki-sama's residence is.
Oh, you mean that little mustached Japanese attacker? You're looking for his cheap hovel, it's right in front of you. Over there. On the second floor of that battered, dejected-looking house with the rickety bicycle in front of it.
It's even nearer than I anticipated.
I believe the landlord's name is John Gerardin. Anyway, next time you see the little lady, make sure you give her my regards. You hear me? Make sure of it. Give her my regards.
Yes, sir.
Well, that'll do for a little talk then. All hail the little lady. Gregson.
There he goes.
Now then, shall we head on over to Soseki-san's boarding house?
Yes.
Let's do it. A new location has been added. Gonna wait in that dialogue? Well, this is a room. Same day, unspecified time, Natsumi Soseki's boarding house. Well, hello there.
Yes?
Is this the residence of Mr. John Gerardin?
Indeed it is. Who might you be?
My name is Naruhodo Ryunosuke.
He's the attorney of Mr. Natsumi Soseki who resides in this house.
That was a freak out.
Would it be possible to speak with him regarding Soseki-sama?
That face!
One moment, please. I shall check with my master.
Susato-san, did you see that? That must be one of those maids that England is so famous for.
Yes, I've heard that the average British family employs several of them. This is my first time laying eyes on a real one. I'm so thrilled.
Now I really get the feeling that I'm in England.
Now we can just see a butler to go with her. It'll be perfect.
I'm not exactly sure what'll be perfect, but I've got to agree with you there.
I apologize for keeping you waiting. The master will see you now.
Well, hello. But before we do that, we're going to examine things. Like this cannon. Why is there a cannon inside this room? What's a cannon doing in a place like this?
Even more frighteningly, it's real.
Oh, come now, it's only a cheap toy. Eh? It was given to me by the army when I retired from the service. Just in case I come under enemy fire. It's a quite useful thing to have on hand.
This cannon is?
In this dangerous world, you can never be sure what will happen.
I wonder, what Gyakuten is preparing himself for?
Well, at the moment, it's mainly used as a drying rack after Joan washes her aprons. They dry so well hanging there, and it keeps Joan looking her best.
This grand cannon looks awfully sad.
Oh.
It's a slightly old military uniform. It appears to have been carefully brushed and well maintained.
What? Those boring old rags?
Eh?
This is the ceremonial uniform I wore when attending my retirement ceremony. I despise those who feel the need to brag about their past. I was thinking of disposing it. But I suppose there's nothing wrong with keeping one memento around. That's the only reason it's still there.
Ah, I see. I suppose we should just leave that matter alone. Briar Road. The scene of the crime is visible from here. You're right. You can see the detectives investigating across the street. But the glass is a touch clouded and it's somewhat difficult to see beyond the window. I wonder, does this window not open? It's best not to underestimate London's winter chill.
Eh?
If one leaves the window open, it's cold enough to freeze the tea. No Londoner would dare leave their window open overnight in the middle of winter.
Doesn't seem like somewhere anyone would have witnessed the incident from.
There's a large screen partition standing here as if to block the way.
I can't help feeling that it's hiding something.
I wonder what could be hiding behind this screen. I'd love to take a little peek behind it. Ahem.
I think we better not, Susato-san. I kind of get the feeling that Maid might dump hot tea over our heads.
Ahem. It's a medal, and what a splendid frame that adorns it.
I get the feeling that he's pretty proud of it. The way it's tilted is bothering me a little, though. What? That useless rubbish? Eh? I would have just thrown it away, but I feel as though I'd let my general down. So I hung it half-heartedly on the wall instead.
It's polished to a shine and sitting in an expensive-looking frame, though. The medal has a message engraved on it. Honorable Mention Award.
That sounds like something even I could win. That's... Well, in other words, my conduct was honorable. Your deeds aren't defined by the number of medals you've won. That's common sense to us soldiers. Gyakuten-san is glaring at us from that portrait.
The photos in these small frames are all of Gyakuten-san as well.
And there's some sort of lion figure here too. Yes, I was forced to buy it from the nearby pawn shop.
Forced to buy it?
The owner is quite a skilled salesman. He can talk anyone into buying that junk he sells. You often notice later on that you didn't need any of it.
That's true. You can't really consider a lion figurine something you need.
Susato-san sure told him.
this table, Naruhodo-sama. There are so many lovely little cakes lined up on the shining silver cake stand.
They're less lined up and more haphazardly scattered. To elegantly enjoy afternoon tea time is a prince's prerogative. The master always takes 1 cup of tea and 2 cakes.
My, how nice.
Huh? But there are at least 10 cakes on this cake stand.
Oh, of course.
Leaving them behind would be wasteful.
I,
Joan, always partake of the master's leftovers. I see. Okay. Just admit that you just like eating lots of cake.
There's an old candle holder here for some reason.
You're right. The gold part's gone all black. That's just some cheap ironwork. Eh? That's the candle holder I used when I was studying for my officer's exam. It's old, and I should probably throw it away, but, well, it's still usable.
Huh. I suppose so.
I never thought even something like that would have a story behind it.
Could you at least refer to them as memories?
There's a makeshift kitchen shelf here. It certainly is unique.
Oh my! Just as I expected the London kitchen shelf. How charming!
The shelf support has come away and the plates are a little smashed.
You're right. Broken just doesn't seem to adequately describe them. Ah, perhaps that cannon over there went off or something.
I think you would blast a hole into the thing. Yeah, well, something like that maybe. It's probably better not to think too deeply about it. These are shells, aren't they? From the cannon.
You're right. What are those doing here?
Ah, those are the shells I launched into the barracks during shooting practice. Apparently that event still lives on in the army as a legend. Hey, so you went to the trouble of picking up the shells you shot and bringing them home? No, it wasn't such a big deal that it merits being called trouble. It's just worthless scrap metal. I wouldn't be sad to see them tossed out. You wouldn't be sad to see a lot of things tossed out in your room. I simply thought they might still have some use, so I left them there just to be safe.
Huh. So have they been of any use so far?
Let me think. Yesterday, while clearing this room, Joan dropped them on my foot.
Oh my!
I shed my first manly tear in quite some time. You probably would have been better off just throwing them out. Oh my god. Okay. Man, we're examining a lot of stuff, aren't we? There are some books stacked on this table. I wonder if he likes to read. London winter nights are quite long, you see. There's nothing more enjoyable than reading a book by the fire.
There's a copy of the Strand magazine here. So you like the adventures of Sherlock Holmes too, Gyakuten-sama?
Wow, Holmes-san sure is popular. Alright, now we shall properly talk to Mr. Gyakuten. Welcome, I'm the landlord, John Gyakuten.
It's a pleasure to meet you. This is defense attorney Naruhodo.
Sorry, but you'll have to pardon me for remaining seated. I took a bullet to the knee in the Battle of Mainwand? The Battle of Mainwand, a few years ago. The army awarded me a medal, and I grudgingly left things in the hands of those under me. So he's a retired soldier. Going upstairs is quite hard on me, so I don't get out much. Come to think of it, I was a bit out of breath as well. This room is on the 3rd floor after all.
That's obviously the matter of you simply being out of shape.
You think so?
But you must have done something quite valiant to have been awarded a medal.
What? That old thing? Medals are nothing more than scrap. I only hung it up because it felt like a slight against my general to throw it away. Come, Joan, show them my medal. Joan, my medal. Ha! Hot! What the? Joan, be more attentive.
Oh dear, what have I done? I'm so sorry, Master.
Be more careful next time.
Yes, Master.
In any case, I've been living quietly as of late. Right. So then, if I'm not mistaken, you'll hear about one of my lodgers who lives downstairs.
Yes, we'd be so grateful to hear what you have to say.
Of course, as someone devoted to protecting the peace in England, I'll cooperate as much as possible. The great Japanese Empire signed a treaty with us and we're allies now, after all. Allies. In addition, it seems that the eyes of the world are focused upon this case.
Really?
There's a certain famous detective investigating my boarding house as we speak.
You mean Sherlock Holmes-sama?
Was that his name? I don't pay much attention to things that don't interest me.
But I see a copy of the Strand magazine over there.
Oh no, that's just,
The detective is searching that Japanese man's flat right now. Oseki-san's flat.
Thanks to that, there's a flurry of rumors surrounding my boarding house now. It's quite troublesome for those of us who want to enjoy a quiet life in a low-key place. Well, ain't that a shame? Alright, about Soseki. Probably after this questioning we'll have to stop.
Now then, could you tell us what you know about your lodger, Soseki-sama?
Certainly. A Japanese man started boarding here about a week ago.
A week ago? I didn't know it was so recently that Soseki-sama had moved here.
My boarding house has one lodger on the 1st floor and one on the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor became vacant about a week ago. Actually, that's... Ha! Joan! Be more attentive!
Oh dear, what have I done? I'm terribly sorry, Master. If I may be permitted to speak. I thought that Oriental was suspicious from the start.
You're kind of suspicious too, lady.
Really? He's always covered in oily sweat and his eyes dart around fearfully. He simply exudes suspicion. That man, one of these days he's going to do something. I was certain of it.
They better not call this maid as a witness. Well, now that you said that, they probably will.
Incidentally, had he done anything else that you found suspicious?
What is that face she makes?
Yes, he certainly had. He's leaning forward excitedly.
She? Suspicious lodger.
Was there anything in particular that you noticed about the lodger? About Soseki-san? Yes, everything about him was awfully suspicious. Everything? After all, he holed himself up in his flat, surrounded by documents that I couldn't read for the life of me. He didn't speak with anyone, nor did he ever have any guests. Day after day, he would visit the used bookshop, and when he'd come home at 5 p.m., he'd light a fire in his stove. And he keeps later hours than anyone else in this mansion.
Is that so? The 1st floor lodger is usually in bed by 9. But that Japanese man has never turned in before 2 a.m. Huh.
May I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
How is it that you're so informed about Soseki-sama's habits?
Oh!
The lodgers' rooms are both below this one, aren't they?
Yes, they're below this flat, on the first and second floors.
In that case, I can't help wondering why you know all that. Down to the precise times that he returns home in the evening and goes to bed.
She's gonna solve it by burning him. Joan, be more attentive.
Oh dear, what have I done? I'm so sorry, Master.
My God, these two are suspicious. She has a point. There is something strange about all of this. And of course they're not gonna tell us. The incident 2 days ago. By the way, in regards to the incident that occurred at 5 in the evening, did you happen to be looking out the window at this room at the time? The window?
From this window, it's possible to see down onto Briar Road. As you can see from there, the attack happened on the sidewalk across the street. Perhaps you saw someone suspicious or...
At 5 p.m. is when dinner is served at my residence. Unfortunately, I don't recall anything in particular. What about you, Joan?
I didn't see anything either. Night had fallen and it was dark outside. On top of that, it was foggy, which prevented one from being able to see across the street.
I see.
Then you didn't notice anything else unusual that night?
Anything unusual?
Anything would help, even if it doesn't seem to be related to the incident.
Huh. Well, in that case...
So, something did happen?
Well, it was nothing significant. It was just an incident that was... Joan! Be more attentive!
Oh dear! What have I done? I'm so sorry, Master.
Be more careful from now on.
Yes, Master. However, Mr. Attorney, if you will permit me to say, with all due respect...
Yes, what is it?
As far as my humble memory can recall, there was nothing particularly worthy of discussion that took place here that night.
Is that true, Gyakuten-san? Judging by what you began to say earlier, it seemed like perhaps there had been something. Oh, well, you see, it really is hot. Whoa! Hot! Come now, Jones, honestly!
With all due respect, Master, I do believe nothing happened that night.
That's true. It was quiet. It was a quiet evening when nothing of note occurred. Isn't that right, Joan?
Yes, Master.
What's going on here? What's going on indeed? They're hiding something.
Did something occur in this room on the night of the incident?
I'm really curious now. Soseki's room. By the way, which room is Soseki-san's? It's the one right below this one, on the second floor.
Holmes-sama is investigating there now, isn't he?
He said the lodger himself requested it, so I gave him the key.
Soseki-sama asked Holmes-sama to investigate the incident?
That's obviously a lie. I was gonna say, I'm like, no way. May we see Soseki-san's room too? Sure, I don't mind. Just head down the stairs. Soseki-san's room. I'm not sure if there'll be any clues there, though. We need any clues we can get right now. Shall we head down?
Yes. Besides, I believe we should hear Holmes-sama's account of the events.
And alright, that's it. So we're gonna be moving into Soseki's room in the next video then, since we are now out of time. So I'll see you guys then. And we're back to more Case 4 of DGS. We are still talking to Iris right now, and what we are highlighting at this moment is about her deductions a moment ago. How did she work that out? By the way, about that thing a moment ago.
What do you mean, Naruto-kun? What thing a moment ago?
How did you know that I was an attorney who just arrived in London? And oh yes, that we have a difficult trial ahead of us tomorrow.
Oh, what? Is that all? Therefore, I was able to draw one conclusion. You two came here to ask Holmesy about the case.
That whole scene makes me really frustrated.
There's a memo on the mantelpiece saying that the Japanese man's trial is tomorrow. Holmesy has a habit of sticking all his memos to the walls with a knife. And, well, that's pretty much it. That concludes Iris Watson's deduction.
Oh my god. I'd be speechless too.
Oh, were my deductions correct?
Spot on.
Amazing. So this is Iris-sama's famous deduction, which means you're not the detainee's family or acquaintances, right? That must mean that he's a new client that you've just taken on.
I see.
Then what about the bit about our trial beginning tomorrow? Holmesy's got home yesterday and solved another case right away. He smiled and told me we caught a whaling Japanese man.
Japanese man? He must have met
Soseki-sama. That thing on your hand is a Japanese sword, right? And the type of clothing Susato-chan is wearing, I think it's called a kimono? In other words, you two came from Japan, in which case surely you're going to defend that Japanese man. That's what I thought. If you wouldn't mind, we'd really like to hear your explanation. Sure, I don't mind. I don't know if you really call a simple thing like this an explanation, though. Alright then, shall we begin? On Iris Watson's Logic and Reasoning Experimental Theater.
This was in the trailers, but it was actually Iris doing the deductions.
We'll start here. I knew you were an attorney right away, Naruto-kun. You see, we met in the defendant's lobby of the court yesterday.
But what about the part about how we just arrived in London?
Those papers poking out of your chest pocket are passenger tickets for a ship, aren't they? So basically, it made me think that you must have just arrived in this country. And the fact that you're willing to face that prosecutor in court proves that you don't know about London's court affairs.
You must mean the Grim Reaper.
Also, there's the remains of a red stamp on the back of Susato-chan's hand. You got that when you visited the detention center to meet with the accused, didn't you? Did you know that there are strict controls on who's allowed to enter and leave that place as a visitor? I had no idea. By the way, you receive a red stamp when you come to visit a foreign detainee. In other words, Naruto-kun and Susato-chan went to visit a foreign detainee even though you just finished a trial yesterday. But your expressions aren't all that sad.